Welcome to the Lucky Health Channel. I'm so happy you've joined our health community today. We're about to explore some truly valuable health knowledge, and I promise your body will thank you for it. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. It's like joining our big health-loving family. And a quick like on this video will give us even more motivation to keep sharing helpful videos with more wonderful people like you. Thank you. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you've taken a few moments to sit here with me today. I want to begin with a question. Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling heavy, sluggish, even though you ate, rested, and did everything like usual the night before? Or maybe you stood up from your chair and suddenly felt lightheaded, your steps unsteady. Or perhaps you felt those dull, nagging aches in your arms or legs, not sharp enough to call pain, but enough to make you feel like your strength is quietly slipping away. One of my patients, Daniel, 68 years old, once sat across from me, let out a little sigh, and said, "Doc, I guess this is just what getting old feels like. Doesn't matter what I eat, doesn't matter what medicine I take. I suppose it's time I just got used to feeling tired, dizzy, and sore all the time." He looked at me as if waiting for me to nod and agree. But instead I smiled and said, "Not exactly, Daniel. Have you ever considered? Maybe it's not really about your age. Maybe it actually starts with the vegetables on your plate. I want you to imagine this. Your body, from your heart to your legs to your mind, is a wonderfully intricate machine. Every day it repairs itself, cleans itself up, and fights off tiny damages you can't even see. But to do all that, it needs fuel. And not just any fuel, the right fuel. And here's what most people don't realize. The vegetables you eat every day, those innocent, green, beautiful vegetables can either quietly make your body stronger, steadier, sharper, or they can silently wear you down, inflame your joints, drain your energy, and steal your clarity. I remember a sweet lady, Linda, 72, who once told me, "But doctor, I already eat so many vegetables. There's always a plate of greens on my table. I even force myself to eat more. But still, I feel weak. My mind feels cloudy, and my body aches all the time." That's when I explained to her, vegetables are not just vegetables. Some of them really are like natural medicine, full of anti-inflammatory compounds, antioxidants, and nutrients that keep your brain sharp, your muscles strong, your immune system resilient. But others, especially for people over 65, contain compounds that can trigger inflammation, upset digestion, and even quietly damage your joints and sap your energy. There was a study out of Harvard that showed simply switching a few of your daily vegetable choices could lower your risk of memory loss, falls, and arthritis by as much as 30 to 40%. And I've seen it myself, not just in research papers, but in my own patients' lives, one by one, story by story. Have you ever noticed this? Some days after a meal you feel light, clear-headed, like someone just charged your battery. And other days after eating, you feel heavy, sluggish, achy, like your body's trying to tell you something. Your body is talking to you every single day. My job is to help you learn to listen. So today, I'm going to share with you the golden vegetables you should prioritize because they nourish your muscles, soothe your joints, keep your mind clear, and help you stay independent and confident on your own 2 feet for years to come. And The false friends, the vegetables that look healthy, even taste wonderful, but quietly chip away at your health, leaving you more fatigued, more inflamed, and more prone to falls and injuries. You don't have to change everything overnight. But once you understand the difference between what builds you up and what wears you down, you'll be able to choose your next steps, steady, clear, and at peace. And I promise you what I'm about to share is not complicated. It doesn't require fancy ingredients. It doesn't cost much. These are simple, thoughtful choices completely within your reach, starting with your very next meal. I still remember the first time I met Mrs. Eleanor. She was 74, and she walked into my office carrying a big bag full of fresh vegetables. She set the bag down, smiled at me, and said, "Doctor, I've heard eating a lot of greens is good, but no matter how much I eat, I still feel tired, sluggish, my memory feels foggy, and I get these dizzy spells. I don't even know if I'm eating the right things anymore." I opened her bag and saw lettuce, some cucumbers, a few carrots. But it was missing something, the one leafy green I always jokingly call the most powerful leaf for anyone over 65, spinach. I handed her a fresh bunch of spinach and said, "Add this to your meals every day, and then come back and tell me how your body feels." Have you ever held a handful of spinach in your hand? Those soft, deep green leaves. They may look delicate, but inside they hold a remarkable strength. It's not just another vegetable, it's a quiet companion, nourishing both your body and your mind. You see, spinach is naturally rich in nitrates. Once inside your body, those nitrates turn into nitric oxide, a tiny molecule with a massive job, helping your blood vessels relax and open, so your blood flows better, oxygen and nutrients reach every cell in your brain, every fiber in your muscles. A study from the University of North Carolina showed that after just a few weeks of eating more spinach, older adults felt more alert, less fatigued, and even noticed improvements in memory. Mrs. Eleanor came back to see me about a month later, smiling, as she said, "Doctor, I don't nod off during the day anymore. I can walk around the park without getting out of breath. My eyes feel brighter, and I even remember my grandkids' names faster now." You see, aging may slow us down, but it doesn't take away our ability to bounce back, as long as we give our body what it truly needs. Spinach also gives you lutein and folate, which help protect your memory, reduce the risk of blurry vision, and keep your mind sharp and clear. If you're wondering how to enjoy it, here's what I usually suggest to my patients. The simplest way: add fresh spinach leaves to your salad at breakfast or lunch. Or sauté it lightly with garlic and a splash of olive oil just for a few minutes. That's all it takes. And if you enjoy smoothies, toss a handful of spinach into the blender with a banana and some almond milk. You won't even taste the spinach, but you'll still get all its benefits. Have you tried it yet? Just a handful of spinach each day to keep your blood flowing strong, your legs steady, and your mind as clear as a bright morning sun. I often tell my patients spinach isn't just food. It's a gentle reminder that your body can still shine as long as you give it the chance. I still remember one spring afternoon when Mr. Raymond, 77 years old, walked into my office. His feet were swollen and his shoes no longer fit. He let out a quiet sigh and said, "Doctor, my legs feel like they're made of lead. Just walking a few steps wears me out. At night they feel tight and achy. I've already cut back on salt, but it's still the same. I smiled, pointed to a bundle of fresh asparagus on the counter, those tender green spears standing tall like little soldiers, and said, "Why don't you try adding this to your dinner for a few nights? It's a quiet little fighter, but much more powerful than you might think." Have you ever really noticed asparagus? At first glance, it seems so simple, but inside it holds an incredible kind of strength. Asparagus is rich in folate, a nutrient that helps repair and protect the DNA in your cells, guarding them from the silent damage of aging. And it's packed with a precious antioxidant called glutathione, which scientists often call the rejuvenation medicine of your cells, helping flush out toxins, lower oxidative stress, and ease the fatigue and heaviness that can make us feel older than we are. A study published in the Journal of Aging Research even found that a diet rich in asparagus didn't just reduce water retention, it also improved insulin sensitivity, lowered inflammation, and helped older adults feel noticeably more energetic in just a few weeks. I want you to picture this. Every day, your body filters liters of blood through your kidneys. It balances your fluids, cleanses out waste, and keeps your heart and circulation steady. But after 65, those organs start to tire. And that's when you may notice more swelling in your legs, rising blood pressure, or that heavy dragging feeling in your feet. That's when asparagus steps in like a quiet partner, helping your kidneys tidy up, releasing that excess water, and making your legs feel light again. Just over a week after adding asparagus to his dinners, Mr. Raymond came back to see me. His shoes fit again, and he wore a relieved smile. "Doctor, I walked all the way around the park today and my legs still felt light." Asparagus. It really works. Have you ever felt like Mr. Raymond? Your legs, heavy shoes, tight, walking slowly like you're carrying stones. Maybe your body is quietly asking you, "Give me a little help." Asparagus doesn't ask for much. You can simply steam it or sauté it lightly with a bit of olive oil, sprinkle some minced garlic on top, or roast it with a few slices of lemon. Enjoy it at lunch or dinner, both are fine. And remember, don't overcook it, because folate and glutathione start to fade if it's cooked too long. I often tell my patients, asparagus doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't show off. But meal by meal, it quietly helps your legs feel lighter. Your kidneys stay strong, and your spirit feel renewed. There was a time when one of my patients, Mrs. Evelyn, 72, came in looking worried. Her voice was low when she spoke, "Doctor. Lately, I feel like my mind is foggy, my body feels heavy, and I walk so much slower than I used to. I'm afraid I'm just aging too fast." I invited her to sit down, rested my hand gently on her shoulder, and said, "Mrs. Evelyn, your body hasn't turned against you. It just hasn't been given what it needs to keep fighting." Then I pointed to a plate of steamed broccoli on my desk, still bright green and steaming, and said, "Do you see that plate of broccoli? It may look simple, but it's one of the best shields your body can have. Have you ever felt like Mrs. Evelyn? That heavy, sluggish feeling in your body, your mind a little dull, joints cracking every time you stand up? Most people assume that's just the natural course of aging. But in truth, much of it happens because our bodies no longer have the nutrients they need to repair themselves. Broccoli, or as we call it here, The humble broccoli is anything but ordinary. It contains sulforaphane, a compound that scientists have nicknamed the silent gatekeeper of your health. Sulforaphane quietly fights off chronic low-level inflammation, clears out toxins that have built up over the years, and shields your cells from the wear and tear of time. One study published in the Journal of Gerontology even found that older adults who ate broccoli regularly had much lower inflammation levels, and their memory and thinking stayed sharper too. But that's not all. Broccoli is also packed with vitamin K, calcium, and magnesium, three nutrients that keep your bones strong, lower your risk of fractures, and help you stand tall and steady as you move through the years. And believe it or not, just 1 cup of steamed broccoli contains more immune-boosting vitamin C than an entire orange, which can help you fight off winter colds and keep your defenses strong. I want you to imagine this. Inside your body is a little army working every day to keep you moving, thinking, and thriving. But after 65, that army starts to get tired. That's when broccoli steps in a simple, quiet way to give your troops the strength they need to keep you feeling alive and steady on your feet. Mrs. Evelyn took my advice and started adding broccoli to her dinner each night. She would steam it lightly, drizzle it with olive oil, sprinkle some minced garlic and sesame seeds over the top. 3 weeks later, she came back to my office with her face glowing. "Doctor, I don't know if it's the broccoli or what, but I feel so much lighter. I'm sleeping better, and my mind feels clearer than it has in years." Have you ever tried what Mrs. Evelyn did? If not, let me remind you of one little secret. The key is to steam broccoli gently for just 3 to 5 minutes, so it stays vibrant green and keeps all those powerful nutrients inside. Don't boil it to mush or fry it with heavy oils. High heat destroys much of the sulforaphane. I often tell my patients broccoli may look modest and quiet, but hidden inside is a mighty shield protecting your body and your mind, meal after meal, day after day. One morning, while I was walking through the park, I happened to see Mr. Thomas, 76 years old, slowly making his way along the path. He smiled and greeted me, but I couldn't help noticing how tightly his hand clutched the railing, his eyes squinting and his steps trembling. I walked up to him and asked gently, "Are you feeling dizzy? Unsteady?" He nodded, his voice carrying a hint of sadness. "Yeah, I don't know why, but lately my eyes have gotten blurry so quickly. And when I stand up, I feel like I'm going to lose my balance. Even walking a few steps feels scary." Have you ever felt like Mr. Thomas? Your eyes no longer sharp, your steps slowing down, and it feels like your legs and your eye just don't work together the way they used to. Many people think that's just what happens with age, but the truth is, you can do something about it. And sometimes it starts with something as simple as a carrot. That bright orange carrot isn't just pretty on your plate. It's a quiet, loyal friend to your vision, your balance, and your confidence. Inside each carrot is a treasure trove of beta-carotene, a plant compound. Your body turns into vitamin A, which nourishes the retina, protects the macula, and helps you see clearly even in low light. One study published in the Spanish Journal of Public Health showed that eating carrots regularly could reduce the risk of macular degeneration, a leading cause of blindness in older adults, by as much as 40%. But here's something even more surprising that most people don't know: beta-carotene can also improve reflexes and balance. Research from La Paz University Hospital found that older adults who ate carrots regularly had quicker reflexes, steadier posture, and a significantly lower risk of falling. Now imagine this for a moment. At our age, just one fall can change everything. But when your eyes are sharp, your legs steady, and your reflexes quick, you can walk with confidence without fear of falling. I often tell my patients carrots are easy. What matters is that you don't forget them. You can crunch on them raw like a sweet, crisp afternoon snack, or steam them lightly, sauté them quickly with olive oil and garlic to keep their nutrients intact. You can shred them into a warm bowl of soup, or blend them into your morning smoothie, tasty and nourishing all the same. Mr. Thomas followed my advice. He swapped his usual afternoon cookies for a few raw carrot sticks. A few weeks later, I ran into him again, and this time he was walking more confidently, his eyes brighter. With a proud smile, he said, "Look, doctor, now I can even climb the stairs without holding on." You see, that humble little carrot, which most people think is just garnish on a plate, can actually give you clear eyes, steady legs, and that quiet sense of confidence with every step you take. I always say carrots don't just help you see the road, they help you walk it with strength and grace. One afternoon, I ran into Mrs. Ellen, 72, standing in the supermarket aisle, holding a dark green bunch of leaves in her hands, looking hesitant. "Doctor," she said, "is this really as good as people say? I hear it's the king of greens, but it looks so tough. I don't even know how to eat it." I smiled and replied, "You're not just holding a bunch of leaves. You're holding a shield protecting your bones and your eyes. Have you ever stood there yourself, looking at those curly, deep green leaves on the shelf and wondered, is it really worth trying? I want you to imagine this. Every step you take at 70, 80, and beyond, whether it feels steady or shaky. Every time you open your eyes, whether you see clearly or through a blur, it all depends in large part on the nutrients you give your body every single day. And kale is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. People call kale the king of leafy greens, and not without reason. It's packed with vitamin K, lutein, zeaxanthin, and calcium, precious nutrients that strengthen your bones, protect your retinas, and help you avoid the fractures and vision loss so many older folks fear. A large study published in the Journal of Nutrition in Gerontology found that people who ate kale or other dark leafy greens at least 3 times a week had 20% higher bone density and significantly fewer fractures than those who didn't. I've seen this play out with my own patients. The ones who ate kale regularly came back years later with stronger bones, steady on their feet, clear vision, no fumbling with thick glasses or canes. Mrs. Ellen was no exception. She told me, before every time I climbed stairs, my legs felt shaky, and my eyes were so blurry I couldn't even read the paper. But now, with a little kale at every meal, my legs feel stronger, my eyes brighter. Totally worth it. And here's the thing, kale doesn't have to be complicated. I often tell my patients, you can toss it fresh into a bowl with olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and a few walnuts for a delicious salad. Or simmer it gently in a soup with ginger mushrooms and tofu, warm, comforting, and easy to digest. Or simply saute it quickly with garlic and a sprinkle of salt and pepper to keep its bright green color and all its goodness. You see, aging doesn't always have to be a battle with pills and prescriptions. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing the right vegetable, eating it consistently, and letting your body quietly thank you with steadier steps, clearer words on the page, and a sense of calm in your heart. I always tell my patients, each little leaf of kale is like a quiet promise that you still care for your bones, your eyes, and yourself. I still remember when Mr. Charles, 77 years old, came to see me, his face all scrunched up as he rubbed his stomach. "Doctor," he said, "I don't know why lately after I eat my stomach just feels bloated uncomfortable for hours, and I feel so tired. When I stand up, I even get a little dizzy. I guess it's just my digestion getting old, huh?" So I asked him, "What do you eat most often?" He chuckled and said, "Oh, I love stir-fried vegetables, but they have to have a lot of green peppers. I love how they smell, the crunch and the color." Does that sound familiar? A lot of older folks are just like Mr. Charles, thinking of green peppers as a healthy vegetable that brightens up stir-fries, soups, salads. But the truth is, inside that crisp, fragrant green pepper is something your body, especially after 65, may not handle so well anymore. Green peppers are actually high in lectins, a natural protein plants make to protect themselves. For younger people, a little lectin doesn't cause much harm. But as you age, your digestion slows, the lining of your gut thins, and your protective barriers weaken. And that's when lectins start to cause trouble. I want you to imagine your gut like a beautiful garden. Lectins are like tiny thorns, scratching and irritating that garden over time, leaving it inflamed, swollen, and less able to absorb the nutrients you eat. That's why so many people tell me they eat plenty, yet still feel weak. Their stomach bloats, their skin look dull, their legs feel unsteady. A study from the University of Navarra found that more than 40% of older adults who regularly ate high lectin foods, especially green peppers, developed chronic gut inflammation, malabsorption, anemia, and problems with balance. After hearing this, Mr. Charles decided to make a change. He cut back on green peppers and switched to red or yellow peppers instead, which not only have much lower lectin levels, but are also rich in vitamin C, which helps boost immunity and fight inflammation, while still keeping that bright, colorful plate of vegetables. A few weeks later, he came back smiling, gave me a pat on the shoulder, and said, "Doctor, my stomach feels so much lighter, and I don't feel dizzy when I stand anymore. My veggies still taste great, and my body feels a whole lot better." You see, sometimes it's not about eating less. It's about choosing right. Green peppers, as crunchy and pretty as they look, can quietly work against your gut and your health. But red and yellow peppers, they're still beautiful, still sweet, and much gentler companions for a body that's getting older. I always tell my patients, just because it's green doesn't mean it's good. The key is listening to your body and giving it what it really needs. I want you to imagine a summer morning with the faint aroma of freshly boiled corn wafting through the kitchen. Those golden kernels, soft, sweet, perfectly lined up on the cob. They look so harmless, don't they? One of my patients, Mrs. Margaret, 71 years old, came into my office one day holding a cob of corn. She smiled and said, "Doctor, I've been eating corn instead of rice these days. That's healthier, right? I smiled back, sat down next to her, and gently replied, corn looks innocent, but there are a few things you should know about it. You see, a lot of older folks believe corn is a vegetable, a natural whole grain, and that eating it instead of rice or bread must be better for them. But in reality, those golden kernels are packed with fast-digesting starch, meaning once it's inside your body, it's quickly converted into sugar, causing your blood sugar to spike. I want you to picture this: each tiny kernel of corn is like a little sugar pellet wrapped in a pretty yellow package. When you eat a lot of corn, especially if you already have pre-diabetes, diabetes, or you're trying to manage your weight, your pancreas has to work overtime pumping out insulin. Then you crash, feeling tired, hungry again soon, and your waistline just keeps creeping up. Mrs. Margaret blinked at me and asked, so, you're saying corn isn't good? I nodded and added, there's more. Nowadays, most corn is genetically modified to produce higher yields, and it's sprayed heavily with pesticides. It's not the same wholesome, homegrown corn you remember from childhood. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that people who ate a lot of sweet corn had higher blood sugar levels and a greater risk of metabolic syndrome compared to those who ate true whole grains. After hearing this, Mrs. Margaret decided to swap corn for other grains like oats, brown rice, or a slice of whole grain bread. A few weeks later, she came back and proudly said, now my blood sugar is better. I feel less tired, and my belly feels lighter too. Have you ever noticed after a meal of corn that a little while later you feel sluggish, foggy, and bloated? If so, maybe it's time to rethink how you treat this seemingly harmless food. I always tell my patients sweet corn isn't exactly your enemy, but it's not really your loyal friend either. If you choose to eat it, just have a little and make sure the rest of your grains truly nourish you from the inside out. I want you to imagine it's a quiet evening and you're setting the table for dinner. There it is, a plate of roasted eggplant, steaming, fragrant, buttery, soft, and so flavorful you can hardly resist. One of my patients, Mr. Walter 76, used to love that dish too. He came to see me one morning, sat down rubbing his knees, and said, Doctor, lately my joints ache all the time. Every morning I wake up feeling stiff. I don't know if it's just old age or something worse. I looked at him, smiled, and asked, do you eat eggplant often? He looked surprised. Of course. I love it. I eat it pretty much every week. You see, what many people don't realize is that eggplant, along with its relatives, like white potatoes and green peppers, contains a natural compound called solanine. Solanine is a chemical plants produce to protect themselves from insects and disease. But for some people, especially older adults with sensitive joints, it can trigger inflammation, worsen joint pain, stiffen muscles, and make moving around feel heavier and harder. One study in the Journal of Clinical Rheumatology found that about 30 to 40% of arthritis patients reported their symptoms worsened after eating foods from the nightshade family, with eggplant being one of the main culprits. I remember very clearly that day I told Mr. Walter, how about you leave eggplant off your plate for a few weeks? Let's see how your body responds. 3 weeks later, he came back with a lighter step and a relieved smile. Doctor, I can hardly believe it. My knees hurt so much less now. and in the morning I can stand up without feeling like my legs are locked. Maybe it really was the eggplant. Have you ever felt something like that? You eat plenty, you rest well, but you wake up stiff, achy, your knees sore, your steps slow and heavy. If so, the culprit might be sitting right there on your plate. Now, this doesn't mean eggplant is the enemy for everyone, but if you're dealing with stubborn, unexplained aches and stiffness, try taking eggplant off your menu for a few weeks. Pay attention to how your body feels, and then you can decide what's right for you. And don't worry, you're not short of options. Dishes made with butternut squash, zucchini, or asparagus are not only easier on your joints, they're also full of antioxidants and good for your overall health. I always tell my patients, listening to your body is the simplest way to discover what nourishes you and what quietly hurts you. I want you to imagine a cozy dinner with a steaming plate of creamy mashed potatoes right in front of you. It's fragrant, soft, smooth, and for many people it's the taste of childhood, of family, of holiday gatherings. One morning, Mrs. Margaret, 79, came to see me. She sat down, sighed, and said quietly, "Doctor, I don't know why, but lately my legs feel weaker and weaker. After just a few steps, I'm tired. When I stand up, I feel wobbly, and sometimes I even fall. At night, I get cramps, and in the morning, my whole body feels heavy." I looked through her chart, then gently asked, "Do you eat potatoes often?" She chuckled. "Oh, every day. I don't eat rice anymore. I just have potatoes instead." You see, white potatoes, as familiar and comforting as they are, also have a dark side that many people don't notice. They have a very high glycemic index, which means when you eat them, your blood sugar spikes, quickly setting off inflammation throughout your body. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown older adults who eat a lot of high glycemic foods like white potatoes are not only more prone to inflammation, but also to damage in the tiny blood vessels that feed their hands and feet, leading to numbness, weakness, and a higher risk of falls. I also remember another study from La Paz University Hospital that found over 90% of patients over 65 who suffered from cramps, numb feet, and poor balance all had diets rich in fast starches like white potatoes. And there's more. White potatoes are often prepared with butter, cream, cheese, and fried in oil, all of which add saturated fats that further increase the risk of heart disease and diabetes. Mrs. Margaret listened quietly, then asked, "So, what can I eat instead?" "Doctor, I'm so used to potatoes." I smiled and said, "Of course you have options. Try sweet potatoes. They're sweeter, higher in fiber, full of vitamin A, and much lower on the glycemic index. Or you could go with cauliflower. It's crunchy, full of anti-inflammatory compounds, and good for your heart and blood vessels." A few weeks later, she came back to my office, walking more steadily and speaking with a brighter tone. "Now I still have a delicious dinner, but with sweet potatoes instead of white. I sleep better at night, and in the morning my legs feel stronger." You see, white potatoes aren't necessarily bad for everyone. But after 65, if you feel tired, your legs weak, your balance unsteady, it might be time to cut back a little and see how your body responds. I always tell my patients, growing older is when you need to choose the things that truly nourish you, not just what tastes good in the moment. I want you to picture this. You're sitting at your dining table. On your plate, There's a little mound of warm, steamed broccoli, a handful of spinach lightly sautéed with garlic, a few slices of sweet, crisp carrot. And you know, each of those little bites isn't just feeding your body today. They're quietly repairing, protecting, and giving you strength for tomorrow. Many of my patients often ask me, "Doctor, what should I do then? How much is enough? Do I have to stop eating everything else I like?" And I always smile and tell them, no need to be extreme. You just need to start one step at a time. Start by choosing at least one of the good vegetables we talked about, broccoli, spinach, or carrots, and make sure it shows up on your plate every day. One day it can be spinach. The next day, carrots. The day after, broccoli. As long as you're consistent, your body will thank you. And for the vegetables, we should be more cautious with, like eggplant, green peppers, white potatoes. Don't panic and cut everything out overnight. Just start cutting back little by little and swap them for better choices like pumpkin asparagus or sweet potatoes, and pay attention to how your body responds. One thing I highly recommend, and something I do myself, is to keep a small notebook. Write down what you eat each day for 2 weeks. What you ate that day, how you felt, how was your energy, how did you sleep, were your joints sore. Many of my patients have discovered surprising connections between their meals and their bodies just from this simple habit. And finally, I want you to remember, this isn't a race. The effects of these changes won't show up overnight. But if you're patient and keep at it little by little, what you build will become a solid foundation, helping you walk more lightly, sleep more soundly, and feel that you still matter, that you are still strong. I often tell my patients, eating well is like tending a garden. You water it today, you won't see flowers tomorrow. But if you keep caring for it one morning, you'll wake up, and your whole garden will be in full bloom. Sometimes we think it's our age that determines our health, but really, it's the small choices we make on our plate every single day that quietly shape how we walk, how we sleep, how we enjoy our lives. One of my patients once said to me, "Doctor, I never imagined. Just by changing a few vegetables, my whole body would feel so different." And I nodded, smiling. Because the vegetables you choose today, even if it's just a simple lunch, can determine how you feel tomorrow, next week, and even in the years ahead. If you give priority to good friends like broccoli, spinach, carrots, your body will thank you. It will give you back strength, clarity of mind, and steady, confident steps. But if you quietly let the troublemakers like eggplant, green peppers, white potatoes take up too much space on your plate, you may start to feel more tired slower and not even realize why. I want you to remember this. Every meal is more than just filling your stomach. Every meal is an opportunity to build a strong body, a clear mind, and a life that feels independent and joyful. You deserve to walk lightly, to sleep peacefully, and to feel that your life is still full of meaning. And it all starts with what you choose to put on your plate today. You see, your health has never just been about your age. It's the story of each meal you choose, each small decision you make, each way you choose to love and care for yourself day by day. If what I shared today made you pause and reflect, gave you even a little inspiration, or simply helped you believe I can still do so much good for myself, then I'm truly happy. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It lets me know you're still here listening, walking this journey with me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications too. That way we can meet again in the next videos where I'll continue to bring you simple yet profound insights to nourish your health and your spirit in the most sustainable way. Thank you for listening, for trusting, and for staying with me until this very moment. I look forward to seeing you again in the next videos. Wishing you good health and peace always. This video is for informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor before applying any advice.